7 days of the week. This is another one. You have, okay, and so this is important to flesh out because they are Hebraic. You know, we know that the months have different names now and the days of the week are different. So putting it back together in with its Hebrew words, or its Hebrew days, Hebrew months, Hebrew cycles, this is all very important to understanding, especially in Kabbalah in the process. When Moshe was made the pattern, when he made the tabernacle, and he was told the pattern that's in heaven. What's in heaven? Zeranpin, the heavens and the earth. So when he made the menorah, when the menorah is like a physical, again, object lesson, it's a manifestation of the Sefirot. All 10 Sefirot are in that menorah, again. And they knew this. See, this is theology that the priests, the scribes, the ancients, the people of Israel had, okay? So, and I'm going to break that down. The menorah is very beautiful in understanding. There's a lot of other instruments. Let me go into like the whole temple. This is what's really exciting and important. Again, we know that the pattern of the temple and the tabernacle were made according to a pattern in the heavens. So what this is referring to is the tree of life, is the Kabbalistic understanding of how things are structured in Elohim's cosmos. So the temple layout was, again, a complete object lesson and how helping them to understand, and especially then when you did ritual, when you were doing something in the temple, especially the priest, there was a complete correspondence, what they're doing, and to the heavenly energies, to literally moving angels, trying to, or oh my gosh, making atonement. There were so many things that literally were going on, all right? Do you remember? Israel went at its temple, and they really did function as priests for the nations, all right? So one of these, I'll just tell you, okay, so we take the brazen sea, and you know, if you know your temple layout and what some of the things are called, you obviously know the Holy of Holies, the Ark of the Covenant, the 2 pillars. You know, as you keep progressing in from the outer courtyard to the inner courtyard, and you keep going through and get closer and closer, what you're doing is you're climbing the Sephiroth ladder, getting all the way up to to the Holy of Holies, all right, to the highest connection. Now, the molten sea, it's called the brazen sea or the molten sea, and it was set upon these 12 oxen. All right. Well, come to find out that is a total picture of Malchut, the lower Sephiroth, and it's telling you, and the sea, because one of the code words for Malchut, for the kingdom, is the sea. All right. Seas. So that whole cauldron or basin represented the sea, physicality, the whole world of Malchut, the kingdom. All right. And the 12 oxen represented the 12 tribes. So in other words, Shekinah, and then you're going to learn the word Shekinah. We're going to get into the divine feminine and how that relates. You know, the right have the right and the left, the male and the female. These are all parts. But Shekinah rests on the sea, on these 12 oxen, which represent the 12 tribes. All right, the 12 soul roots of all Israel. So they know exactly what they were portraying, all right? There's no mystery here. It's just when you lose the keys to the kingdom, which you lose what is being represented, which has been, you know, kind of sort of the history. Another one here, that huge category of archetypes, of motifs, symbols, is foods and drinks. Again, relating to the Sefirot. You have over and over, we're told, you know what, wine, milk, oil, and honey. You know, there's some motifs that are over and over and over again. What are they referring? They refer to certain Sephiroth, all right? So milk actually refers to Hesed, all right? You give babies, you know, milk. And milk, Hesed, comes right from being of the mother. And it's like the first, you know, the first thing we know about it, he is loving kindness. He is tender mercy. And they're new every morning. This Sefirot, this ethical quality of of Elohim, which trumps all of it. It's his mercy, his loving kindness. All right. There's no accident that milk you pair and babies. I mean, everybody deserves loving kindness and mercy. It's one of the ethical understandings you get when you get it. Everyone deserves it. All right. That is Yahweh's starting point. All right. So understanding. All right, understanding wine, wine as a drink is always equated with understanding, which is always equated with, like I said, Bina. And when you look at the charts, and you'll see right under Bina is Gevera, which is there's always a relationship going on, but understanding kind of flows right down into judgment. Once you understand a situation, Yahweh will have mercy, but once he understands a situation, or it's been judged, or all the information about it is out, and the courts have been done their thing, and a verdict is rendered, so to speak, a judgment, all right, so then it gets executed by Gevera. It starts there. So these things are all very well thought through and understood. Another one is the like bread. I mean, some of them are very easy we get. So I don't know why people would ever want to resist this concept, because we've already started down this road. You can't go back, where we know Yeshua as written Torah. See, he is the bread of life. The manna representing the bread, and that represents the written Torah, Tiferet. Okay, and the oral Torah is represented as Hesed. So there's a huge relationship going on, motif symbolism connection between, again, the Sefirot and foods and drinks and the harvests. All right, so I put that under here because that's why you have 3 harvests in Israel, and there's different fruits, different things that have grown in different seasons get harvested at different times, which relates to the resurrection. See, in one way, they're so logical. They keep everything very well classified. All right, so there's a couple more here. Now we're going to go to a big one. I said the 2 of the biggest torso is the body, the human body, relating to what is called the cosmic body. All right, Adam Cademan versus us individual. We know we're little tabernacles. All right, we're little vessels of what is of Elohim. All right, so there's a complete correspondence between. This is what we're going to clean up. We're going to clear up. We're going to put in proper understanding intersective. Like this is where a lot of the New Age and the chakras and a lot of this, they're just, it's like they're dealing with lower level understandings. All right. But the organs of the body do, again, totally correspond to the Sephirothic tree of life. So it's pretty easy, even the mind, like the highest 3 triad of the tree of life, Chokmah, Bina, and Keter, Chokmah, and Bina represent the mind. Actually, let's start here. The way it works in the body, Keter, and again, Keter is the crown. It's like, in other words, this is why you put a crown on the king, but the crown is actually not part of the body. It's a designation of authority. And so when you talk about the king of all Israel, the king, he's the crown. I mean, he's way up there at the top. And this is where you get this whole concept of Adam Cademan. And we'll break these down. But once you put the crown on the king, let's say, then you have, then it starts with 2 sides. It starts to of Chokmah and Bina. All right. And so you have what is in your brain, what we have a right brain and a left brain. And they do function differently. I mean, this is what science is proving. Science is proving all this Kabbalistic theology. That's what's very exciting. So that's why, again, mankind will be without excuse. Paul said, you're going to be without excuse because it's going to be proven to you. The seculars are kind of doing their job without realizing it, of proving the truth of the Torah. So you have your left brain and your right brain. The heart, okay, refers to this whole Sephiroth relationship of Zer on Pin, all right? And so the heart is in the middle of the torso. And this whole concept of the torso and the 6 of the Zer on Pin is representing the left hand and the right hand. So when it talks about Yahweh's right hand, there is a total Sephirothic equation, equal. You know, the right hand equals Hesed down and Netzach, and the right side, okay? The middle pillar represents very specifically Tiferet. The middle pillar really does represent Yod He Vav He, all right? We'll get into all this. The left side, the left hand of El, so you have, it's so broken down, so even in our arm, I think there's 3 joints. You have your shoulder, your elbow, and your hand. There's 3 joints in here. It corresponds totally to the Sefirot. There's 3 Sefirot you'll see on each side that go down. It's not an accident, all right? Parallels the human body. And then you have, to the 2 legs. This is, it's called Netzach and Hod. And, you know, lo and behold, in the Mazrov, it's all the twins, all right? This is not an accident. Again, they're 2 twins. They represent each other. Our two legs. You know, you never go any place with just one leg, right? Unless you're lame, right? You have 2 legs, and they work totally in tandem. All right. There's a total correspondence between this. And then you have, and the sexual organ, I will tell you, Yesod is so, I mean, we spent forever on understanding Sephiroth, what's going on in Yesod, because so much has gone on. And so even today, the battleground, you know, people are kind of, who are a little saying, why is there such always a battleground? Why is sexuality always such a battleground? It's for a very good reason. It is a very powerful Sephiroth, all right? But there's 2 parts to it, and it refers to the man's sexual organ, well, basically on one level, and then women have a part of it too, all right? There's always this 2 sides, but even in that section of the body, there is one part that gives and receives life, and there's another part that excretes waste. And yet they're bound together in the same kind of organ system. That in itself is loaded with Kabbalistic understanding of what's going on, all right? Waste versus life. Okay, we'll just leave that one there for now. Then you have the feet in a body, right? We start with the crown, and then with the head, and we end up with the feet in a body, right? So the feet represent, you know, physicality. The feet always represent the lowest level, represents the kingdom, Shekinah, where we are. 99% of our time, we're down here. If you're in life, quote unquote, you know, between birth and death, you're in the world of Asiyah. You're in physicality, all right? And this is why when you begin to see this, though, how the prophets would reference this Sephiroth and say things like it says in Isaiah 52:7, it would say, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach good news. Well, it says, how beautiful are them that preach good news. And then it goes on in the New Testament, how beautiful are the feet. And there's and they're using this verse, relating it to the verse in Isaiah, the feet, physicality. Who's down here preaching the good news? People are, all right? That's what we're doing. We're down here. We represent the feet, all right, right now. When it talks about that heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool, that is talking about the throne of heaven. That's Zer on Pin. We're going to completely flush that out. And then earth, Malkut, is his footstool. So we have this whole idea. These things are not accidentally pairing up. It's extremely, like I said, it's all figured out. Listen, Christian, or whoever you are at the end of the age, Judah, Ephraimite, it's our job to reunify the whole house of Israel. We're supposed to put all the knowledge back in the house, all right? And clean it up, straighten it out, agree on, you know, begin to speak a pure language. The last one in the body, let me just say skin, right? So then our whole body is covered with skin. Well, it relates again, Sephirithically, you'll understand when Adam fell and he found the physicality, and then Yahweh clothed him. And we're going to go into this whole concept of what it means to be clothed. There's a very, like, to put on garments. There's a lot of usages of, putting on garments, garments is a big word and big concept, and we're going to get there and flesh that out more. But your skin, this is what he did, because even in a lot of the, the apocryphal texts, it'll talk about Adam was a being of light, and then in physicality he was clothed with physicality. He was clothed with his skin. He kind of became a closed system. All right, our skin is what really all other beings. The one that makes we're human. When you're clothed in skin, you're in physicality. Angels are ethereal. They don't have a skin, a physical covering over them per se. They're much more ethereal. Okay, there's huge concepts in this, a lot of science in this too. All right, so the last one is the tree. All right, and again, the tree of life, that's what it's called. And a tree is just a great, and this is why this motif, I even picked the motif, the tree of life, as sort of the, what do you call it, your little icon for my branding, for the Elect Life, the website, and different things, because the tree is still, you can't beat it for a concrete visual of what's going on spiritually. And a tree will tell you there's visible and then there's invisible. You have its roots, its branches, the leaves, the fruit, the bark, all of these outward manifestations that identify it as a tree. That's what we can know and see on the physicality, or I won't even say use the word physicality, on the heavens and the earth. Okay, so we know a lot of times. And then this tree has roots, invisible roots are the foundation of life and nourishment. Everything comes up from the roots into life, into this. So in a lot of ways, that's why you'll see sometimes an upside down tree, only because the roots are, it's coming up. It's, well, see, and actually it's a very, symbiotic relationship. Let me say this quick, how deep this is. Because there's all these processes then that are going on inside that are giving life to this tree and giving physicality to it. So it's starting with a seed. That seed was planted. And again, this gets into the whole concept of the firstborn and how this whole thing starts to take shape, ending in physicality. But if you read Genesis 1 really closely, Genesis 1-2, you will find out that in the story of creation, there were three things like were already there that weren't created. All right, and this is, we'll talk about the different worlds. There's a world of Maria, a world of creation, but there were a couple things that were like already there, the text tells us, that didn't tell us where their origination was. There was water, there was breath, spirit, and there was earth. And in earth, and they became, they were tahu bahu, and he began a process here. This is where you get into, there's a lot of stuff you can talk about in between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. But for all intents and purposes, trees, it completely corresponds to water, oxygen, and minerals. Minerals are the elementals. And we'll get into all this. The afar, the dust, the building blocks. There are certain things that make up life. They know this. Science breaks it down. There's carbon. There's different elements that are in everything in more different degrees, and that's making life. So, but that relates to water, oxygen, and minerals, which is what the tree roots are getting from. What's the trees getting from the roots by being planted in the earth, by oxygen being, it's in the air, it's having leaves and branches that are breathing and getting water. So you have Chokmah, again, what you really have here is a Chokmah and a Bina. The tree, the middle pillar. I mean, it's going to take fleshing this all out to see how, but I want you to just sort of get the bigger picture, how deeply encoded and how much information, accurate, beautiful, spiritual, and biblical information is in these texts. And I said, as the theology that we're going to go into, stemming from the Zohar, this, like I said, there's two parts to this equation. I'm working on parts, just to do one quick summary. I'm working on what are known as in parts, the remez, the hints. So these are all things, the hints to telling you there's a deeper relationship here, and it's always going back to the Sephiroth tree of life and the halakha. Because I told you, a priest has to be able to teach on both levels. That's why Yeshua got really mad at the scribes and the Pharisees. He said, because look, you can teach them the law, man. You can teach them all sorts of extra kind of law stuff. But you can't teach the people the deeper knowledge. You've lost that, so that you keep them from entering into the deeper understandings, where really the beauty is. That's what's feeding our soul. All right. If you do a ritual and you're not connecting your soul to its deeper, its higher source, its higher correspondence, it's void. It's vain and void, and that's what Israel would get many times. All right. So this is absolutely, I believe, if you're in this class, you are part of the emerging priesthood of Elohim. So we're going to give him all the glory and all the thanks. And I just praise Elohim that I'm here, you're here for such a time as this. So I will see you back again in class 3. Shalom.